Welcome to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 100 of The Joy of Coding. I'm underlining in my head 100, or I'm using the 100 emoji, because this is a big deal. This is roughly, and I say roughly because it's not exact, this is roughly the 100th episode of The Joy of Coding. Assuming I do I've been doing this for about 2 years now, and that means about 50 episodes a year, which makes some sense given holidays and whatnot. However, as you may have realized the past couple weeks, I've had to miss a couple episodes throughout the run of The Joy of Coding, and sometimes the numbers bump, despite the fact that the episodes were missed. These are missing episodes. That's due to the old way I used to schedule these things. That is no longer the case. I schedule them differently now, so we shouldn't have any more missing episodes anymore. But what that means is this is kind of the 100th episode. It's being a little disingenuous. This is probably more like the 93rd if we try and look back and see what episodes are all missing or something. But the numbers say that this is the 100th episode, so we're going to celebrate the birthday today. Think of it like a leap year birthday where it's like, we're fudging the numbers to make it work. So welcome to the 100th episode. I'm glad you're enjoying the hat, Beach Jar. This is for you. Let's get into it. What's going on today? Let me share my screen. Boo-whip. There we are. So, what's going on today? Today, as I said, is the 100th episode, so I've got this celebration GIF here. First of all, I want to make sure that everything's working. Do I have... Yeah, you can hear me. The video's recording. Good. I like to do my self-check. Reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I kind of have a sense of what I want to do today. I've been thinking about it for a while as the votes have been coming in, because you may or may not be aware. But today's episode, I'm working on something that you, the viewers, voted for. So that is... I've been thinking a little bit about it as the votes have become more and more clear over time. But... things might not go according to plan. I might hit some difficulty. We'll see how it goes. I might not be able to pull it off. I'll do my best. So, happy 100th episode. Do you like my funny hat? Is my question here. A couple of other bits of news before we dive into it, and before I show you the spoilers here. Hang on. Spoilers of what we're going to be working on. I've been doing a separate show on the side called The Joy of Profiling, about looking at performance profiles captured by people who are noticing that Firefox is performing a little bit poorly, and examining those and trying to find actions and get bugs filed and whatnot, and find a resolution. I piloted that 2 episodes for that show, and there are links here if you're interested in checking those out. Oh, by the way, I should mention, this agenda, all of this stuff in here, you can actually click on it. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the video description. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, it's in the additional links section. And if you're watching this on Facebook, it's a pinned comment on this video. And if you're watching this on Twitch, I'm about to drop it into the Twitch chat. Bam! There it is. That's the agenda. And now you can follow along. So you don't have to just watch me click links. You can click on them too. So I've done 2 pilots so far of The Joy of Profiling. Give those a watch if you're interested. I'm so fortunate to have the company of some excellent engineers here in the Toronto office for Mozilla help me look at these profiles, help me understand them, because oftentimes I don't understand them. So all-stars like Marcus Stanga, Asan, whose last name I don't think I can pronounce without butchering, Jeff, who... his last name I don't think I can pronounce without butchering. These fellas have been helping me out, and it's great. So I highly recommend giving those a watch. The show, the official kickoff of The Joy of Profiling, is this Friday. I'm going to be putting it on Air Mozilla to start, and then maybe we'll start spreading it around to the other channels as well. It's not currently recorded or streamed live. It's pre-recorded. That's just to simplify a couple things in the setup, but maybe over time I'll start to stream it live. The other thing I want to mention is that there is an episode guide to The Joy of Coding that I got a suggestion from one of my watchers, Sam Foster, who suggested, hey, maybe you should have an episode guide. Handmade Hero does that. Maybe you should too. And so one exists. It's not super fleshed out. We've got like one README here for episode 98 where like the agenda was just copied in. Feel free to send pull requests if this is something you want to contribute to. I am very liberal about accepting pull requests for this particular project. So if you want to like find a way of dumping my agendas into this episode guide, adding your own links and your own commentary, send them my way, and I'll merge them if they seem valuable. So let's get down to business. What is the 100th episode going to be about? What are we working on today? That is a great question. So, as I mentioned before, for I think a month and a half now, I've been accepting votes on what we should do for the 100th episode. It came down to I think these five bugs I identified that had a large number of votes in Bugzilla, and I said, well, like let's take those, put up a Google form, and people can tell me what they want me to work on. And I want to stress that it doesn't necessarily mean that I'll be able to fix the bug. I might have to find some side solution. I might have to find some other way of resolving the issue. I might have to close the bug as won't fix. I was hoping to drive the bug to some kind of resolution so that people either know what's happening or they somehow get what they want. And so what was voted for? Well, 48.1% of you voted for allowing multi-select operations on tabs. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. It was actually pretty close. There was a tie for second place between allowing hiding the toolbars for presentations on OS X and sometimes open in new window leaves, I think, a window or something around. Some folks wanted me to fix that as well. The other two bugs didn't really, or the other two selections, like do a normal episode and download, specifying the location of temporary files on Mac, that didn't get too many votes. The multi-selection operations on tabs is what is up. That's what I'm going to be doing today, but I'm going to be doing it as a web extension. And so, what do I mean by that? Well, so if maybe you've noticed this, maybe you haven't, but my Firefox is probably looking a little different than what you may be used to. That's because there's currently a retheme effort called Photon underway. There's a big effort to reskin the browser, rejig a bunch of it to make it look and feel and actually be more performant, faster, slicker, more efficient in many different areas. And the tab strip is one of those areas. And I don't want to mess with it by adding new stuff that like may prevent the other Firefox engineers from doing their Photon work. So what I'm thinking of doing is writing a web extension to do multi-select operations on tabs to at least prototype the utility of such a thing. And it would not surprise me if such extensions or add-ons exist already for Firefox. I'm not sure how many web extensions exist, though, for Firefox that do this sort of thing. And maybe a couple. It's possible. But one thing to realize is that in Firefox 57 and up, excuse me, for the release version of Firefox, only web extensions are going to be allowed. And so it might be interesting to build one of these things as a web extension so that it can survive the 57 cull of all the old Zool type add-ons that are slowing the browser down. Okay, so what exactly is this bug? Well, Alex Leamy, who was on the Firefox UX team 7 years ago, I don't think he works at Mozilla anymore, said we should support multi-select operations to support closing lots of tabs in one go. So let's get a sense of the here, I'm gonna put this in my live coding directory. I'm gonna create a new note, multi-select operations on tabs web extension. We'll come up with a better name soon, and maybe this won't be the final resting place of this note, but for now, I'll put a link to it in the agenda, so you can follow along as I take notes. Okay, so this is Alex Leamy's original bug filing comment. Why is there an extra text box? Okay. So what we want, we should be support multi-select operations, support closing of tabs in one go. Closing of tabs in one go. Dragging selected tabs to a new window. And then he had a list here, although the order is all wrong. Select first tab. Why is the order all wrong? 1, 2, 3. I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is the original idea, closing lots of tabs in one go and selecting some number of tabs and putting them into a new window. Now currently we already, since this time, since the bug was filed 7 years ago, we do have some capabilities that are kind of like what Alex Leamy is suggesting. For example, if you have a bunch of tabs to the right, you can close tabs to the right. You can also close other tabs, so everything except the currently selected tab. So there are some ways of doing these broader extensions, these broader changes to tabs in the context menu, but it's not very fine-grained. I have a question in the Twitch chat. Beach Jar is asking, are you going to make it available? Yes, I will put the source code up on GitHub and will post to AMO, assuming we end up with something that works. So that is a response to that. I will be making this available. So how do I envision this working? Well, I've been thinking about this for a couple of days, and this is what I think it's going to look like. And I'm starting from scratch. I have not built a skeleton or anything. We're starting from scratch. And this episode might go a little bit long. I'm hoping to have the ability to at least close and maybe multiple tabs, maybe coalesce. Let me write down the targets of what I want to do today. I want to come up with a basic UI wireframe, and then I want to build the or get the initial extension environment set up and working, and then I need to make it so that we can get a list of the current tabs in the window, and then I need to make it feature close selected tabs feature. I want to coalesce. So this is something I actually would really enjoy, is being able to select multiple tabs in this list, assuming this list is in the order of the tabs they're currently in, and then say, now coalesce them, make them all go next to one another. So I'm going to add that, coalesce tabs, feature, move tabs to new window, and design or post to GitHub so that people can add new features, and then post to we're going to do a 0.1 today to AMO. That's what we're going to try and do. It's a big project. For how much time do I have? I've already eaten up 13 minutes of time. These episodes usually only last an hour and a half. I might go long a little bit today to try and get as much of this stuff done as possible, but we'll do our best. So let's start with a wireframe. I've got a piece of software here I've had for a while called Balsamic, which sometimes I use as like a sketch pad for drawing up UI ideas. I'm not a I'm not a UX. I had a little bit of UX training in university. I've done a little bit of design in other applications. Usually what I do is I create a design and get feedback from designers who do it for a living, and then incorporate their feedback and keep iterating until everyone's more or less said, yep, looks good, or I just exhaust them. But I'm working on my own here. So let's just try and come up with something. So this is a wireframe of a browser window, and we don't exactly have tabs, but we can invent some here. We'll pretend that these are the browser tabs of the browser window, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm thinking we have these sidebars in Firefox now. I've actually had them for a while, and I'm thinking I might want to make use of something like this. So I'm going to have a sidebar, and I know that doesn't look just right. There we go. So I'll call this Mozilla. I'm going to try and clone my current selected tab. So internet for people, not profit, is one tab. I have to escape the comma. And then Mike Conley, Joy of Coding episode. and then 5566510, allow multi-select operation. So pretend those are browser tabs. Then we're going to have a rectangle here. This will be our sidebar. And let's pretend that there's a web page. Let's pretend there's like a web page over here. Just ignore that. And then what's currently built into the sidebar? We have this thing built into the top, I think, which is a selector. So we have to take that into account. There's a selector up here. And I think we have an X icon over there. I'm just trying to reflect reality as quickly as I can. I'm going to have an X icon. It's of size small right there. And then whenever you're in a particular mode of the sidebar, you have like the name of it, I guess, here with a drop down. I don't know what we're going to call this thing yet. For lack of a better word, I'm just going to call it MultiTab Manager. So that's going to be the really sort of boring project name, unless I'm taking suggestions. If people want to give me suggestions on what to name this thing, feel free to drop them into either the Twitch chat or the live hacking the live hacking IRC channel. Either or, it'll do. Let me know. So I'm also going to put in an icon for the little drop caret down. There's like a little drop caret there. It's really small. I'll put it there. Okay, so that's more or less what we'll start with, and I'm pretty sure all of this is just an iframe I get access to. So what I'm thinking is something like this. If you've ever used like K9 Mail on Android, or let's see, what else? Yeah, I like the Gmail app on Android, because that's what I have. I have an Android phone. There's a sort of a metaphor or an idiom where you can enter this mode of selecting things, and then at the very top of the application will show you a couple of icons for actions and then a menu for additional actions, for less common actions. So let's think about that as a metaphor or an idiom we could try. So unfortunately, it means stacking boxes on top of boxes. We might be able to do this in a less boxy way, but for now, I'm just going to do boxes. And whenever we have nothing selected, maybe it's just blank for now. Or maybe it will show some text, something useful like how many tabs you actually have. So I'm just making this up as I go. 3 tabs. 0 selected out of 3 tabs. Or maybe even better, 0 out of 3 tabs selected. And then we could have some icons for some actions we want to do over here. So the one thing we were talking about was like closing, so that's an X usually, or a trash can. I'll just have it be an X. I'm not going to do much icon hunting. Actually, I kind of like the idea of a trash can. Trash can, trash can, and then we're going to do another icon. We're going to have, like, what else? Closing, moving to a new window. What is a good icon for moving? Whatever, an arrow. It doesn't really matter. So box, like jump. Yeah, sure, this will do. Move to new window, and then let's see. Coalesce is something I like, but maybe we'll put that under like an additional like menu, like a short, like a additional options here. Okay, and we'll figure out what goes under there in a little bit. But then what we get is checkbox. what I'm thinking is something like internet for people, not profit. I'm going to put a couple spaces there because I want to put the fav icon here as well. Now, do I want to put the fav icon before the title or before the checkbox? I think I want to put it before the title. And I'm going to do this. Whoopsie daisy. I'm going to have something similar for the next one, which is Mike Connolly, Joy of Coding episode. And like these will have to truncate if the sidebar is too small. I'll make that more or less even, and then 5, 6, 6, 5, 10. Allow multi-select operation, and then it might truncate whatever. So none of 3 selected, and then this is a scrollable list, and I want favicons. So like globe, sure, small. We'll pretend this is a favicon. Okay, this is what I'm imagining. So we have this stuff, and then you can choose like choose a couple of tabs. Oh, and the currently selected one. Let's make one selected. How do we do that? I think we can choose like one like this one. Let's say the currently selected one is bold to differentiate it, and that will update as we select different things. And when we like selected as in like currently viewed tab, but then you can do selections on all of these, and then this number will increment, and then we can perform some operations. So these should not be available. These should probably be invisible unless so I'm actually going to remove those. Invisible unless some selections are made. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clone this, clone of the current mockup, and now I'm going to put those back, and let's say we've checked. I want to make it checked state selected and selected. Suppose we selected 2 of them, then this will say 2 out of 3 tabs selected, and then we can do this. Now another thing we might want to try as like an additional feature, like create to-do list, feature list for future things. Nice to haves for next time would be like the ability to filter the list of tabs somehow with like a search input. We have something similar at the top of bookmarks, which is what got me to think about it. But for now, I think this is something that is doable, hopefully within the first this episode. And I'm not sure I'm going to be doing this next episode. I might be going back to Firefox work, but I'm just going to get this started. And who knows, maybe this is a thing that you viewers might want to contribute to and make more useful for yourselves. You can fork it, whatever. I'm going to make this a very permissively licensed project. So do whatever you want. Do what you will. So now that we have our wireframe, very basic UI wireframe, let's get the initial extension environment set up. Now, getting an initial extension environment set up is very easy for me because I like to do things, whenever I'm doing these sorts of things, I'm collaborating with a lot of people, I tend to use Git. And I know that you watch me use Mercurial a lot in when I'm dealing with like most Mozilla things and Firefox things. That's because that's what we generally use for Firefox, and I find it works best for large repositories. Mercurial works best for me, but for oh wow, this window is humongous. Let me just drag this over here. I'm resizing the window so that you can see most of it because I know a bunch of it gets cut off. Let's see. I also want to make sure that is my stream still coming through? Just making sure I'm not dropping any frames. Just doing a quick check. Seems like it. Okay. We're going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this, like, what's a good name? Multi-select tabs. Sure, multi-select tabs. Now let's see if there's already an add-on called multi-select tabs, because maybe we can like multi-select tabs. Max tabs, duplicate this tab, tab scroll wheel, multiple tab handler, tab grenade. That's a pretty cool name. How about just multi-tabs? No, multi-select tabs. That's more clear. So that's what I'm going to call it. Multi-select tabs. Done. And now we're going to git init. And that's it. We've got ourselves an empty repository. I'm going to start committing to this thing. I haven't pushed it to GitHub yet, but I will. Either just after this or soon after. I'll put a link in the notes so you can fork it or check it out. Now the first thing when we set up a web extension that we need to do is create the manifest. And the web extension manifest, I think there's like kind of a boilerplate we can start with. Like I might just take this quick syntax example. I'm gonna yeah, manifest.json. I'm just gonna like put this in, and then I'm going to just take stuff out. So strict min version, the ID of this add-on is going to be multi-select tabs at mikeconley.ca. That's me. Strict min version. Now I don't actually know. I don't know which APIs we're going to need, and so I don't know which ones are supported on which versions of Firefox. I'm just going to make it nightly only for now. Are there going to be background scripts? Maybe. Actually, maybe not, because I think we can manage the whole thing inside of the sidebar. And I don't know if there's going to need to be a button. So for now, I'm not going to have a browser action, because that maps to a toolbar button. Maybe we'll want a keyboard shortcut, but for now, I'm just going to take that out. Not going to need any content scripts, I don't think. Default locale is English. Yep. Description. Allows the users to select multiple tabs in a window and perform operations on them. I don't have any icons yet. Multi-select tabs is what I'm going to name it whenever I'm the friendly name. Multi-select tabs. Page action. No page action. Permissions, I don't know yet, and this is going to be version 0.1. And no web accessible stuff. Okay, so that's my initial manifest. I want to know what permissions do I need to open a sidebar. That's because that's going to be critical. So web extensions sidebar. Let's take a look and see if we can find some documentation. Sidebar action. That's what we want. Using the sidebar action manifest JSON key, an add-on can add its own sidebar to the browser. It'll be listed alongside the built-in. Okay. So sidebar action with a title and a panel and an icon. And is default icon necessary? Do I need to have an icon? Because right now I don't have one. I don't have one, and I'm not going to put one in. So let's just do I'll do icons and stuff later. But let's put in a sidebar action. I'm just going to drop it here next to, just above version. I'm actually also going to put version closer to the top, because that makes most sense to me. Sidebar action. We're going to say default title is, what did we call it? Multi-select tabs. What is the, oh, MultiTab Manager. I'm already contradicting myself. Multi-select tabs. Whoopsie, select tabs. So that's what the default title is going to be, multi-select tabs. And then the page, default panel, is going to be sidebar.html. So I'm going to need a sidebar.html. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. And then I don't have an icon. And that should do it. Now let's create a very simple sidebar HTML. This is a very simple, let's see. What's a very simple HTML? I've got another web extension elsewhere that creates a page, and the structure I think is, yeah, it's just a straight up HTML page. I can just like sidebar. I don't need a shortcut icon. Don't need a title. Don't need CSS right now. Actually, it might be good to have some CSS. It'll just be empty, and then body, and then we're gonna say hello from multi-select tabs. Okay, so we have our really silly sidebar .html, and now I'm gonna have an empty sidebar, or I'm not gonna have it be empty. I actually put in like a rule so that the color of our paragraph is red. Very silly. So now that we've got that, let's load this thing up. So how do we do that? If we go in nightly, I think this is true actually up to release as well. If you go to about debugging, we can load temporary extensions. I can load a temporary add-on and just like temporarily load my web extension. This is one of the great things about web extensions, is that I can just kind of like load it immediately. But there was an error during installation. The extension was invalid. Why is it invalid? Error while loading. Oh, because I've told it that there's like a locale and stuff. I'm not gonna do locale business then. I'm just gonna get rid of this thing. It was worried about the different locales. So let's not worry about that just yet. Let's try that again. Not compatible with add-on 55. Trace. Compatible with add-on version, min version 55. Sometimes that happens whenever the JSON is invalid. I don't need actually permissions, just I think I need the tabs permission eventually. Strict min version 55. ID. And this is valid JSON, right? Like, let me just double check. JSON lint. That should be valid JSON, yes. And for some reason, it doesn't like it. Why not? It's not compatible with the min version is 55. What do I have in Ono reflows manifest? Strict min version, I say 52. Let's just put 52 in for now and see what happens. Hey, so for some reason, oh, you know what it is? It's because this is 55.0A1. So maybe that's what I should start with, 55.0A1. So we're going to reload this add-on. Okay. So great, now we have our sidebar. Hooray! That's a good start. So now let's figure out how we can get the list of tabs in here. I'm pretty sure I can do that by using the tabs API from the sidebar.html. So I'm going to load some JavaScript. That's how I'm going to do this. And I'm pretty sure I load JavaScript using, yep, a script tag, NBD. So right at the bottom here, like I've been taught, sidebar.js is going to load. And what are we going to put in it? First of all, I'm going to have it just console.log, like loaded, and see what happens. So now, if I reload the add-on and look at the, yeah, it's in the browser console, I can see my message loaded. Great. So sidebar.js is working. Now, how do we want to structure this? How do we want to structure the JavaScript? I want to make this I'm just making it up as I go. I'm going to probably follow a pattern I tend to follow in a lot of my web projects, which is to define a global, a single global that acts as like the main controller. And then when the frame loads, yeah, when the frame loads, then I will say function. Actually, I can even do better. Multi-select tabs init. So init will be a function. What will it do? Initializes multi-select tabs. Initialize by first getting the list of tabs for this window from the tabs API. So that's going to be, I think, asynchronous. Let's figure out how the tabs API works. Web extension tabs API. Use this API to get a list of open tabs. Execute script, get all in window. This is thumbs down, deprecated. Tabs.query might be what I want. And we'll probably want to like notice when things occur, so I'm going to need some event handlers. So tabs query, active audible, current window. Tabs are in the current window. So we actually need or windows.current ID, window ID current for the current window. Query. Browser tabs query returns a promise with tab objects. So let's see. Browser tabs query. What does that get us? Let's console.log it. Return some result, console.log the result. So let's see what happens. We get these objects back right here. I'm going to get rid of the CSS errors. Object. So we have all these 8 tabs. Now what I'm curious about is it defaulting to the current window or not? So let's open some tabs over here. So I'm going to go to Reddit, watch people code. I'm going to go to my blog. I'm going to go to mozilla.org. So now, how many tabs do I get when I reload this? I still get 8. So we're defaulting to the, or I think we do. No, it's getting all of them. Okay, it's getting all of the tabs. Window ID 140, window ID 3. Okay, that's a problem. So we need to filter by the current window. So the sidebar needs to know what window it belongs to. Browser windows get current. You can set a document. You can set a document for a particular tab using the sidebar action. A sidebar can figure out which window it belongs to using the windows.getCurrent API. Aha. Aha. Excellent. So that's first necessary, is we have to use the API to get our window ID. By first figuring out initialize. So first things first, we need to get our window ID. So what I could do actually is make this an async function, and then we'll say await browser.windows.getCurrent. Now, what does populate true mean? Populate get current. Populate true. We'll have the tabs probably contains a list of tab objects representing the tabs in the window. Oh, that'd be great. So we can get the tabs at the same time as the window. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So we kind of get both for free, which is nice. Get current, populate, and that'll give us our window info. That window info equal that console.log window info. Let's try that. So let's reload. Browser.window is undefined. Browser.window, is it Windows? Browser.windows, that's what it should be. Browser.windows. So let's try that again, reload, and hey, we get an object back, and we get an array of tabs that belong to this window, and only this window. Booyah! So, pretty happy about that. That's great. So now that means that we're going to have a window ID, an internal window ID, which will start out as null. And then whenever the window info comes back, we're going to set our window ID to window info.id. And what else? Then we want to render our tabs. So we have these tabs. What we'll do is render tabs window info.tabs, and then maybe that's enough to populate a list over here. So let's figure out a list. An unsorted list. And I'm going to call it tabs list. And I'll have a getter for it. There might be a few things. I might want to simplify this a little bit later, but document.getElement by ID tabs list. This dot tabs list equals that. We're going to delete the original getter. So this is essentially memoizing this dot tabs list. So we'll get it the first time and then remember it. So now we have this render tabs thing. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a fragment, a document fragment. Document create fragment. Is that how it works? Create document fragment. Document.create document fragment. Okay, document create document fragment. We're going to create a fragment here, and then for let tab of tabs, we're going to create a list item. Now this might not be the most efficient, especially like for thousands and thousands and thousands of tabs. This may or may not be efficient. We might want to break this up into a couple of different passes inside the function. But like, if you have thousands and thousands of tabs inside your one window, it's a surprise that your browser is working. So let's maybe not consider that case for now. Create element, list item. I'm going to say list item dot, what's a good property on the, I got rid of the log, but what was it? tabs. We want the title. So it'll be like the title, and then we have a favicon. So we can say we want the title and the favicon there. Where am I? Wrong editor. Li.textContent equals. Right now we're just going to put the title in. Tab.title. Frag.append child, our list item, and then now that we're done, this dot tabs list dot append child fragment. So let us see what that does right now. We're gonna reload. All right, so we've got our list of tabs in here. That's what we wanted. We might need to do some CSS tomfoolery to avoid the reflowing. We might want to have them be some kind of, shrinking width, flexy with truncation, something like that. But for now, we've got a list of tabs. That's pretty good. So now let's see if we can add some select boxes. So how would I do this? So let's say checkbox equals document create element input checkbox.type equals checkbox, and then we're going to say the checkbox dot text content equals tab.title, and then I'm going to li append child checkbox, and then that. So it's a slight variation, but should, oh no, it doesn't work, does not work. And why is that? Text content of a checkbox doesn't work. Well, all right. Checkbox dot let label equal document create element label label dot text dot 4 equals. I guess we need to at some point have some kind of ID per checkbox. That makes sense. But for now we won't. And then li append child checkbox, li append child label. Okay, so now we have our labels, and now what I want to do is, I'm pretty sure each tab has a unique ID, and I'm going to have that be the ID of the checkbox. So I'm going to say checkbox dot. Actually, I'll use the dataset API. Data API, dataset. So dataset tab ID is what I'll do. So dataset dot, I think I can do dataset dot, and then just some attribute. So tab ID equals, and then what was it? Just ID. Okay. Tab dot ID. And then maybe, so whenever I do a label, MDN DOM label, what things can go in for? The ID. So I actually have to use the ID itself. So I'll do dataset. Instead of dataset, I'll just do ID, and I'll say let tab ID equals tab plus tab.id, and then checkbox.id equals tab ID. Then we create a label. We'll do that first, actually. Create the list item, then we create the checkbox, then we create this label, set the content, then for equals tab ID. So let's reload that, and then no, it does not work. Is for like a thing I can access via JavaScript? I might have to do it like label.set attribute for tab ID. There we go. That's what I wanted. So now you can click on the label and do these operations. So we have a larger click space. That's nice. Okay. Now let's see if we can do some basic operations. Let's try and make it so that we can select some tabs. Well, hang on, let me write down more stuff. Get the initial extension environment up and working. Done. Make it so you get a list of tabs in the window. Done. We want to close selected tabs. Sure, let's do that feature first, but we also need to notice when tabs close or open in the window. So we have to add a listener whenever tabs change in this window. Tabs close, open, or move. Okay. And that would mean like redoing a bunch of, like going over the nodes. We'll find a better way of doing it. This is the sort of thing that I think the React framework is really good at, is I'll have like a different state of tabs, and React would like calculate what needs to be updated and just do it. But I'm not going to use React right now. So I'll do it manually for now, and who knows, maybe one of you fine folks will want to use React and you can help me port it. But for now, we'll do it like this, and let's just try and make it so that we can close some tabs. I'm going to put a button at the top of sidebar.html. I'm going to get rid of this paragraph, and instead I have controls. And I'm going to have a button which just says it's called close. So that will give me this. So the idea is I should be able to select some tabs, click this, and then the tabs will close. This list will not update, but the close will take place. That's what I'm hoping will happen. Okay. We'll start by making sure we can get at that node. And there's probably a better way, a more general way of doing this. I'm just doing what I'm used to. But I'll take pull requests. And the first thing I want to do is after we init, I want to say this dot close add event hand listener command, and then this, we'll add this as the event listener. That means we can have it handle event function here, switch the event target. Case dot ID, event target ID, case close, this dot on close, pass the event along, console.log closing some tabs, even though we're not actually, but that's where it will happen. So let's see if that works. So if I say click on that, what happens? Nothing. So maybe the command event is not the one I want. Maybe I want click. Closing some tabs. Okay, great. So that's what we wanted. So now what I want to do is find out how to close tabs. I think there's an API, tabs.remove. And then I pass it an array of tab IDs. Easy. Now I've created these IDs and put them on the tabs themselves, but I'm also going to do what I did before and use the data API, so I don't have to like extract the ID. Checkbox data set tab ID equals tab.id. And I don't remember if that, like, what does that do for numbers? So let's get all of the selected tabs. Selected equals this dot tabs list dot query selector all. Then I'm going to say all of the inputs that are checked. Checked? Is that how it works? Inputs. CSS selector for checked. Checkboxes. Checked, yeah. Input checked. Type equals checkbox. Put this in single quotes. We'll get all the checkboxes. Then we're going to get the IDs. Let IDs equal selected dot map checkbox. We're going to get the tab ID. And we're just going to log them. So what I've done there is I've taken this list of checkboxes that we get from the DOM. Whoops, that's not valid. I've selected all the checkboxes, and then I map those checkboxes to tab IDs that I had stashed over here when I constructed the list. And so hopefully I have a list of numeric tab IDs and not strings. If they are strings, that just means I have to parse them, but let's see. So I select some tabs. I'm going to clear this log. Selected.map is not a function. Oh, array.from this node list. So let's try that again. Because a node list that you get from query selector all is not necessarily, it's an array like, but not an array. So dumb. So I get strings back, not numbers. Okay, so I'm going to do parse int 10. Okay, so now we should have IDs as numbers. Yep, 2, 4, and 5. Great. Now let's just try closing them. Let's just see if we can get this to work. Browser.tabs.remove IDs. Let's see what happens. So, reload. Let's choose some tabs I don't need. These. Close. Hey, it worked. Okay, so we just multi-selected a couple tabs and closed them. Let's play a success sound. That was our first success.
Hi-oh!
Pretty good. But notice that the list didn't update. So that's, I guess, part of this. Notice when tabs close, open, or move in the window. I have a feeling this pattern of getting the checked things and turning them into IDs is something I'll do often. I'm actually going to extract that. I'm going to say getter, get selected tab IDs, have a getter, return. So we'll do that. So far so good. So now let's hook up some kind of way of noticing when tabs are removed. We had already added our click event listener here. Let us add listeners for a couple of tabs events. So where did I see something like that? Tabs. Set up a messaging connection. Tab events. On activated, on created, on detached, on moved, on removed. So we'll probably want activated, attached. So let me write this down. Events I'll probably want, and why. On activated, so I can change the boldness of the selected list item. Tabs on active changed. I don't want that. That's deprecated. On attached. On attached, when a tab is dragged into the window. On created, when a new tab is opened in the window. On detached, when a tab is removed from the window, or is torn out, I should say, torn out from the window. When on moved, when a tab is moved in the window. When the tab is closed. Tab is closed. Pre-rendering, I don't think I want that one. Selection change, no. When a tab is updated, when a tab is updated, what kind of updates? Oh, yeah, that's what we want. We on updated. When it, so we can change file icons and titles. Okay, good. Good. My phone is going crazy. I think people are enjoying the stream. I hope you are. Someone took a photo of me. That's great. Thank you. Thanks, Abby. Thanks. I just tweeted a thank you. Hi. Alrighty, so what are we doing? So we want to listen to these things. And then deal with them. So let's do that. So I think whenever you listen to these sorts of things, you have to use tabs.connect. Let's look at the first one, on activated. Oh no, you can just like add a listener like this. And what is a callback? Okay. Okay. So let's try this. Browser.tabs.onActivated. Add listener, and we're going to say this dot, or I'll do this. This dot on tab activated. And it passes an active info. And we're going to do the same thing for these other ones. Actually, let's just start with onActivated and make sure that that works. So we're going to add an onActivated, on tab activated, I should say. So these are like tab events. User events in the sidebar. I'm just going to try and keep those separated. Active info. And the tabs themselves, when I get them, what is tabs.query? I can get like a tab info thing back. And what do do we get? We get like selected, index, highlighted, audible, active, active in their window. I think that's what we want. So if a tab is active, I'm going to set an attribute on the label. If tab dot active label dot class list add active. So that means that instead of this, whenever we have a label active, I'm going to say font weight bold. Let's see what that looks like. No, no, it does not work. Why doesn't it work? Let's debug this. Inspect. I want to inspect my sidebar. Label, and I'm in debugging. And it does have the active class. Okay, good. Oh, I think I got my CSS wrong, that's why. It's not the attribute. But you know what? I am going to use an attribute. I like the attribute better here. Label dot set attribute active true. So let's reload. Hey, all right. So now it's bolded, and when the active tab activated changes, see, this is where something like React would come in handy, because all we're doing is like changing the state, and React would do the work of like finding the right thing and updating the right thing. Maybe it's not too late to try and do some of this with React. Thinking. Oh, thank you, Brenny. Yes. Yes, sir. Because I feel like this is going to get a little complicated. Screw it. Let's go for speed. And I can rewrite some of this with React if we want later. So when we get an active info object, what we'll do is we'll find the this tabs list query selector, find the oh shoot. Instead of setting that on the label, I'm actually going to set it on the checkbox. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say checkbox active label. And then I can query for input of type checkbox, and that is also active. Active checkbox. And then I'm going to say active checkbox dot remove attribute active, and then I'm going to call that actually current active. Current active. Let new active equal this tabs list query selector, and I'm going to find the tab that has a particular ID. I think I can do that. Checkbox with just tab dash ID. don't want to have to like keep creating this over and over and over again. I'd rather just use the data set API. So query selector input type equals checkbox, and then data. I think this will work. Tab ID equals something, the actual ID. So put those in there, and I'm going to say tab ID. Active info is an ID of the tab that was made active and ID of its window. Oh, the ID. So it's possible that the window ID does not match ours. So if that's the case, we can ignore this event. If active info dot, what was it, window ID is not equal to this dot window ID, we can bail out, and then we're going to get the let tab ID equals active info dot tab ID. Oh man. Inconsistency in the ID casing. New active set attribute active true. Let's see if this works. Okay, reload. No, it is not working. Or if it is, it's not visible. And I think because the initial one wasn't selected as well, I wonder if my CSS is not working correctly. Checkbox. Oh yeah, there's no such thing as a silly. Type checkbox. That's what we want. And even then, it's not really what I want. So let's take a look. We're going to debug. We're going to look at the tabs list and debugging. This one should be active. Oh, because it's not a child of, it's next to it. That's why. I think that's what it means, next to. Yeah, okay. So we successfully cleared it, but we're not successfully updating the selection. Data, tab ID. What is the, let's double check our assumption here on the data set thing. Tabs list. Tab dash I dash D. Okay, so that's kind of made my decision for me. Any place where I've done like tab with the like fully capsed I and D, I'm not going to do that anymore because that's confusing everything. Tab ID, window ID. I'm gonna be consistent where I can. Window ID. There's another one. Should probably just find remove, whatever. I don't care. IDs. Tab ID. Yes. 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 Okay. Tab ID. And what was the tab dash? It's lowercase, so it should be like that. And tab ID. So let's match case here. Any other? No instances. Okay, so let us reload. So still not working. Let's see if we can find out why. Tabs list. So debugging is this one. Tab dash data dash tab dash ID. Data dash tab dash ID. Input type equals checkbox. Oh, that's why. I missed one. Bam. Alright, reload. Still not working. Let's see if we can get this query printed out so that we can look at it. Okay, so reload. Let's get the query printed out. The query is, oh, apparently that's not a valid selector. That's why. So I need to, like, I think put quotes around this. Yes, okay, now we've got the boldness updating. That's nice. Hey, hey, pretty good. Cool, all right. Let's keep moving. Don't need that anymore. So change the boldness. So I'm gonna actually put checkboxes next to these. I don't know how far I'm gonna get through all these too. I got unactivated. Let's do created and removed and updated. Let's not worry about the moved, attached, or detached case, and then let's work on these two features. More events I'll want. So I'm going to do this. This is the order that I'm going to try and do things. Okay. So now let's do a new tab is opened in the window. So we're going to attach tabs dot, what was it, on created, add listener, and what is the thing that's passed? Callback gets a tab object. Okay. Tab. Vista on tab created. Tab. On tab created. And what does it say about the tab? Details of the tab that was created. Does it give us the index of the tab? There's a zero-based index of the tab within the window. That will allow us to, like, inject the tab in the right spot. So let index equal well, actually, this is really silly. One thing I was thinking of is, like, if we did end up doing something like React, we would have this state that would be periodically updated. And you just keep re-rendering. Again, let's not worry about it. We're going to do the silly thing for now. We're going to just find the index of the new tab, and then we're just going to manually create a new tab and just jam it up in there. We might be able to factor some of this stuff out, but let's not worry about it. So let index tab dot index. So that doesn't really win us much, but whatever. And then how do I want to do this? I want to let tab item equals this dot create tab item tab create tab item. It's going to create us a document fragment. This or this thing, this list item. This dot create document or tab item. Let li equals tab li item. That's what I'll call it. And then I'm gonna extract all of that. and then whenever we item, we're going to now put this new li in the right spot in the list. So let's get the list. This dot tabs list. What was it? I probably can just get the children, right? Like, I don't think I need to query or anything. I can just console multi-select tabs dot tabs list dot children. It's just the LIs. I assume there it's just going to stay the LIs, so children, and I'm going to do an array dot from. So now I have an array of children. I need to inject the DOM node. It's like insert before. Is that what I want? DOM insert before. For new node and reference node. And if it's null, then the new node is inserted at the end of the list. So the index, find the node at the old index. Wait. Yeah. Find the index. Oh, yeah. That's what I want to do. Okay. Let ref node equal that index. Now, hang on a second. Let list children equals that. If index children dot length is less than index. For some reason, I'm just trying to avoid out of bounds errors here. Wait, is that the right way? No, it's the other way around. Index is less than that. Then we're going to do get the ref node. And then we're going to say this dot list, or tabs list, insert before li ref node. Else this dot tabs list append child li. We'll just do that for now. Okay, let's take a look. So we have this error. It didn't work, so what's wrong? Screwed everything up. What happened? Console says argument 1 of node.appendChild is not an object. Sidebar.js new active current active is null. Sidebar.js 114. So this. Oh, I need to return this, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Whoops. Great. Okay. So tab selection still works. New tab. All right. Another new tab. Woo. That's working. I can change selection. And now I'm going to close a bunch. I'm going to close all these new tabs I just created. Bam, closed. All right, so that's working. And it's not super fancy, but it's not bad. So now let's do the onRemoved case and the. Let's see. Yeah, onRemoved and onUpdated. Yeah, let's do those next. And then I'm going to do coalescing, moving to a new window, and then that's it for the features. And I'm going to pack this up and put it up on GitHub. And maybe you folks can help me make it better. And maybe we can start using React instead, because I feel like that's what we want to do here. Oh, Brenny wants to port this to React. Thank you very much, Brenny. I'm into it. So I will totally accept pull requests that do this. Removed. So browser tabs on removed. List on tab removed. I have a feeling on tab removed gets the same sort of thing, right? Right. Tabs. It'll probably get the tab object, or does it get the tab ID? It's the tab ID and some removal info. Okay. Oh, you know what? We should make sure that the tab created. There might be a bug here. We need to make sure that we get the. We only add it whenever the window ID matches our window. Yeah. If tab dot window ID is not equal to this dot window ID, we're gonna return. Let's not deal with that there. So, and then we have on tab removed tab ID, and then what else? What else does it get? What else does it get? Zbadow. Ugh. Remove info, including the window ID. If remove info.window ID is not equal this dot window ID, then we'll bail out. And then what we're going to do, if the window is being closed, then we can just ignore all of this anyways, or remove info dot is window closing, because we don't need to update in that case. In the other case, though, we are getting this tab ID. We're going to find the tab with a particular tab ID. Let target equal tabs list query selector tab ID. If target, there should be, you know what? F it, target.remove. That's what we'll do. And that's it. That should do it. So let's reload. Add a bunch of tabs. And now let's remove these and see what happens. They stuck around. And why is that? Remove info is undefined in 91. Remove info because I probably didn't send it. Yeah. Tab, remove info. So let's reload this. Bunch of tabs. Select some stuff. Close. So we removed the checkboxes. We removed the checkboxes, but we didn't actually remove the list items. So target. How do we do this? List item. Did we set an ID on the list item ever? No, we did not. I'm gonna say li dot. Like I could do the mechanics of like going up, but I don't want to. So let's say let target equal this, not an input. I'm gonna say an li of that, and then reload. Quick and dirty. Just getting the job done. All right. Play more sounds, play more sounds. This is working out.
That's right! Hi-oh!
Oh, yeah.
Target.closest li is a is Brenny's suggestion. Isn't closest like, isn't that something from jQuery? MDN closest element.closest method closest current element matches the. Oh. All right. Let's use that. All right. Target let checkbox let target equal checkbox.closest li if target, because apparently it can remove return null, and now I'm going to be careful whenever. Let's try it. Boop, 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 boop. It works.
Hi-yo! That's right!
Oh, yeah.
All right. So now that's done. We're going to do updated, and then we're going to yeah, let's just do updated, and then let's just keep on the path. We're on track here. So browser tabs on updated, add listener. I'm guessing it's gonna be like update info. Let's see. Tab ID change info, and then the new state of the tab. And what's update info? Change info is the URL. The tab's URL has changed. And the new title. And the favicon, which we haven't actually put in. We have not put in the favicons yet. That's the thing we can put in here. So create to-do list of feature, add favicons. So remove info, I think, is all I need. I don't actually need the actual new state of the tab exactly. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I need the ID, the window ID. So what was it called? Change info. Tab ID, tab. This dot, oh, and what don't you like about it? Oh, two parens. This dot on tab updated, tab ID, change info, tab. Actually, I feel like the tab ID is like included in the tab itself, so we can probably just like pass tab change info on tab updated, tab change info. If tab.window_id is not equal to this.window_id, we're going to ignore it. Otherwise, let's get the checkbox. I have a feeling we can, like, we're using this technique a lot. We can probably just extract it out or something, but I'm just going to ignore that for now. Let tab ID equal tab.id. We're going to find the closest li. Do I want the closest li? What I want is the label. I really just want to update the label. So query selector that label. And this will all go away once Barrett ports this to React. Label dot text content equals, we're going to say the change info title. Okay. Reload. New tab. Go to Reddit. So nothing happened here. Why is that? Well, like it went away. Why is that? Remove info undefined. That may have been old stuff. cbc.ca. Any other updates? And so it tried to update it. Oh, hey, it updates it and then it disappears. Change info.title. Maybe. Oh, because different things are changing at different times. Maybe that's what I'll do. Reddit.com. Yeah. Yeah. This one's for you, Barrett. Reviewboard.org. Hey. Now I can choose some tabs, close them. Hey. Hey. Alright, so this is working. On updated. Let's make sure that if I open up tabs in another window, I'm not like screwing stuff up. Close that. Mozilla.org. Close that other tab. Mozilla.org, not Mozillions. Close. Okay. Well, cool. So on update is done. So now let's try coalescing tabs and moving tabs to a new window, and then we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna put it up on GitHub. Okay, so coalescing tabs to me means, what does that mean? For me, so suppose I select a series of tabs with gaps in between them and choose to coalesce. Maybe coalesce isn't the right word. Gather. Maybe gather is the right word. Choose to gather. The tabs that are will all gather to be next to the first selected tab. That's what'll happen. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to add a new button. Gather. Add silly little memoizer thing here. Gather. And then we're going to add an event listener. And case gather. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the first selected tab. Let first equal, or let's get all of the selected tabs. Let selected tabs equal this dot selected tab IDs. And then let first equal, we're going to just shift off the first one. Array, I think it's shift, right? Like, you probably can't see the bottom here, but if I have an array, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I do shift, it takes off the first, right? Selected tabs dot shift, first ID. And then what I want to do is move the rest of those tabs in that list to be next to that ID. So let's see if there's an API for doing something like that. Tabs. Connect, create, capture, get, zoom, highlight, move. Move. Integer array of integers of the tab to move, and then an object that specifies where to move the tabs. The index position to move the tab to. So we have to find the index. We have to find the index of the first one. And that roughly maps to, unfortunately, we have to assume right now that the index maps to the index in our list. That, I mean, if something has gone wrong in our accounting, that may not actually be true. We might be introducing a bug here. Future gather tabs. Write up notes about React port. Because that's what we really want to do, is you want to have this thing that basically mirrors the tab state and the selectedness and like the indexes being updated, and just manage that, and then have React worry about rendering and changing order, and yeah, that's what you want. Shift, and then whenever you do these moves, you just tell the browser, hey, move all these tabs to this index. Then the browser will tell us that, hey, all these tabs moved, and we update our internal state. I think that's how it'll work. Yeah. So we need the index. Let index equal, how will we find the index? This is going to be really dumb, but I'm going to get the item by doing this, or the li. This is really dumb. Don't worry about it. First ID, and we get the closest li, and then first in, and then we're going to get the index of it in the list. And I think I can do let index equal array dot from this dot tabs list index of first li. I think that'll work. Let's find out. Quick and dirty. Quick and dirty. So let's find, the index should be 0, 1, 2, 3. The index should be 3 of the first tab. Nope, -1. Now why is that? Let's add a debugger statement here. Whoop, whoop. Select a couple of these. Gather. And do I have the debugger open? Debugger. It's currently paused, but like I'm not seeing anything in here. The debugger might be busted. Shoot. Can I attach the browser toolbox? Okay, well it works again now. What if I attach the browser toolbox? Will that debugger work? Man, why doesn't the debugger work? I need that thing. Okay, well in that case, that's what I get for working on nightly software. Array from tabs list index of get index of node in DOM list. Finding DOM node index. Child nodes, shortest way index, array prototype index of child nodes. Array dot from index of nodes. So like if I do array dot document in this query selector all, let's get all links in this page. Array dot from that will give us an array like, or an actual array, and I want to say index of is in a function. So now let's go back to just getting the, say let target equals that of the 15th. We have the link there, and then index of target 15. That works. So what's the deal? Get the closest li, index of tabs list. Oh, tabs list dot children. I think that's what we want. Not tabs list children. And let's close this up and reload this. So 0, 1, 2, it should be 3. Let's see what it says. 3! Excellent. So we've got our hacky index, and now we're going to move all of these tabs. Tabs.move, browser.tabs.move. I'm going to say selected tabs, and then move properties. Window ID, this dot window ID, and then the index is the index. All right, so now we'll reload. So let's choose a disparate set of tabs. this should move, tabs.move next to manifest.json, next to label, next to CSS selector. Let's see. Hey, all right, so now we have manifest.json. Where is it? Oh, it's slightly out of order. Manifest.json, and then tabs.moves over here. So it put them all behind it. Okay. So you kind of want like +1. Index +1. This is, I haven't really checked the math there. There might be some edge cases, but I just want to demonstrate that this works. So this should put tabs query in JavaScript next to multi-select tabs over here. Yes, it works. Good. Good. Hooray. Okay, so let us cap it there. We've got a gathering of tabs. Let us get this thing prepared for GitHub. So I'm going to add everything. Going to add sidebar.html. Going to add sidebar.js. We're going to add a license. I'm going to license this using MIT, I think. I like the MIT license. Let's drop that up in there. Year 2017. Copyright the authors. And now we'll have a license, and then we're going to add an authors list. We're going to say original author Mike Conley, and I'll put my email address there. Mail to. All right, you know what? I'll put a link to my GitHub account. Contributors. Or who should I say? Original author, maintainer, and original author. Contributors. Hopefully you. Git add authors. I don't know if you make sure you have your first git commit. You should make sure to have your first git commit empty. Oh, why? Why? I'm curious. Brenny wants to, says that I should have my first git commit empty. And if that's so, git unstage. How do I unstage things? Unstage, git reset. Well, unstage, you can't really compare the diff of the first commit. Ah, gotcha. Okay. Git reset manifest.json is what I think I want. Yes, git reset license sidebar dot star. Okay, so now I'm gonna git log. Does not have any commits yet. Okay, so git commit initial commit. How do I? So it's good practice to make an empty commit with git commit allow. Ah, I see. Gotcha. So Barrett's got this great tip to make it. It's good practice with Git to do this. Git commit, allow empty, initial commit. So this was. You should see this chat that is happening in live hacking on the IRCs. This is great. Let me paste it in here. Make sure your first git commit is empty. So that's a great tip there. And now I can add these things. Git add authors, license, manifest, sidebar, git commit. First dribs and drabs of a working web extension. Okay. Now what do I want to do? I want how to contribute. I've got the license, got authors. I need a README probably. Multi-select tabs. Multi-select tabs is a web extension allowing you to select one or more tabs in your browser window and perform various operations on them. Currently supported operations: close tabs, gather tabs, moves, puts selected tabs next to one another. I originally aired the creation of this web extension as part of The Joy of Coding, episode 100. And now I'll put a link to that. I like to put links to all of the links. Hopefully this is not going to go away anytime in the future. And then to do. Port to React so that we don't, we just need to maintain a mirror of tab state in a window. What else? Add ability to move selected tabs to new windows. Tabs close, open, or move in a new window. In the tabs close, open. We've got close or open. Just looking through my to-dos. In the window. Detect tab movement either when tabs are dragged within the window, or detect and show tab movement, or detect and update after tab movement, tabs dragged within the window or tabs are dragged in or out of a window. Add favicons. Pretty up the CSS, the style of this thing, of the sidebar. That is a web extension that introduces a sidebar that allows you to select one or more tabs in your browser window and perform various operations. Okay. So I'm creating a to-do list. Right. Port to GitHub, post to GitHub, move tabs to new window. Notes about React port. I guess that's just this. Done. Attached, moved. Okay. Ability to filter. Oh. Add the ability to filter the list of tabs in the sidebar with a search query. Probably matching on tab title or URL. Okay. That's what I'm going to, contributing. First, clone this repository locally. Then, in a recent build of Firefox Nightly, go to About Debugging and choose Load Temporary Add-on. Load Temporary Add-on. Browse to the folder where you clone the repository and choose the manifest.json file to load the add-on. When you make changes, just go back to About Debugging and click on Reload next to the multi-select tabs entry under temporary add-ons. or temporary extensions. Please send pull requests if you have them. I'd love to make this super useful for people. Also, feel free to fork if you decide you want to take this project in another direction. All right, that's it for contributing for now anyways. And README. Whoop, README. Get log. We've got our things there. Okay, so that's it. We've got this thing that kind of works. It does closing tabs, gathering tabs, and it notices when we change selection. It's not very pretty, but it gets the job done. Kinda like me. And my hat. So I hope that was interesting. I'm going to post. Actually, let me log into GitHub right now. GitHub, Mike Conley. And then I'm going to create a new repository and call it multi-select tabs. And then a web extension that adds a sidebar to perform selections on multiple tabs in a window. We're going to create it. And then I'm going to push. And Barrett says you have to fork on GitHub to submit a pull request. That is true. Did I say something? You have to fork. Well, feel free to fork the project if you decide you want to take this project. If you decide you want to take it. Maybe this last line isn't necessary. Git status, git add readme, git commit amend. We don't need that last bit. All right. So we've added that remote, I think. Okay, and now I'm going to push to master. I'll do a release. I'm going to update this project with a link to the AMO page once it's up. And you can download and try this extension in your version of Nightly if you want. Please send pull requests. I want to make this thing amazing and pretty and beautiful and way better than what it currently is. Hopefully it will look closer to this, but even better than this. Maybe I should even include these graphics. For now, let's not worry about it. Thank you so much for watching The Joy of Coding, episode 100. We did it! We did it, folks! 100 episodes. Let's do a couple hundred more. I hope this was enjoyable. I hope you felt good forward momentum on this. And yeah, let's call this a wrap. Again, this is the place to go to if you want to fork this project. If you want to add some source code, put that in the agenda for multi-select tabs, and I'm going to put that here as well at the very top, and I'm going to put this under miscellaneous Mozilla. All right, that's it, folks. Calling it here. Thank you so much for watching episode 100. I hope it was pleasurable. I hope you got something out of it. I sure did. I got sweaty under this funny hat, and I probably lost some hair while I was at it. At any rate, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week, hopefully. Yeah, I think I'll see you next week. I've got meetings next week, but I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do this still. So I'll hopefully see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.